Hey class, let me get started. So this week we are going to work on the basic stock method, which is essentially a sentimental method. It also starts from the sales and goes to reductions, goes to stock, purchases, order, and then open to buy. So we always follow the same sequence. So let's see, what do we know? We have last year's actual sales and this year's planned sales. So the first task is to put last year's numbers to the seasonal total that equals actual last year's total. And this year's it equals to this year's total as well. The 100% is verified by have an equal sign and sum 6 months percentage number together. So theoretically, it is always 100%. And theoretically, this year's plan, we also using 100%. You can just type 100%, or you can use, sorry, this is the dollar. You can just type 100%, or you can use the sum function again to verify whether all the percentages adds up to 100. Currently, it's 0. So let's look at some basic assumptions. The basic assumption for this one, we are using the same percentage for this year's plan. So for August or for February, it's 15%. For September or March, it's 18%, and we shall be able to just drag it along to see the percentages, and you see this is always 100%. And let me put this year's total in dollars as well. So we have this total, and we are distributing this total into 6 months according to the percentages. With regard to the percentages, we don't have to do last year's because we don't really use last year's monthly data. But if you want to, this is the seasonal total multiplies by this 15%. And since we're always using the total, let me put a dollar sign to secure the position of the total. And I can just drag it along. Double check. For the plan, it's the same thing. We're using this year's plan percentage multiplied by the seasonal total. And since the total is always in this cell, we do dollar signs as well. So drag this to the right, and we shall be able to see this year's sales plan. Now we have the sales. We are trying to tackle down the reduction. Okay. The reduction good sizes, we also have the monthly spreads. Okay. In theory, the monthly spreads always adds up to 100%. So let me verify this 100%. Okay. And another basic assumption is for this year's reduction, we use the same percentages. If you are the planner, you don't have to put the same number, but since this is a simplified case, we just use the same percentages for the reduction. Now we always have 100% as well. Okay. So where to get this reduction in dollars from, right? A good place we're trying to get is, we flip to page 1, and you see there are some memo figures. Memo figure says the total reduction plan for this year, it's marked down 20% of the sales, shortage 2% of the sales, and sales discount 2% of the sales, right? Since we all know this is the percentages that we are going to rely on, and this is the percentage as a result of adding up together. So we shall be able to know the total reduction in percentage. Okay. Let me fill this total reduction in percentage. Reduction always have these three components: markdown, shortage, and sales discount. So it is 24% for this year, and this is as a plant number. Let me click back to the reduction breakouts here. Okay. This one is the reduction compared to the total sales, and it is different than this two total, right? But we know this is 24%. As a result, okay, we shall be able to get the dollars as well. So it's 24% off the total. We put 24% times the total in sales to get the dollars in percentage. And this is also the case when we have this year's total reductions in percentage, this year's total reduction in dollars. I shall be able to get 24% for plan this year, and equals to the total reduction in dollars from this spreadsheet. And how do we distribute the total into 6 months? So now, since we have the total, we shall be able to use the total times this percentage. This percentage is 2 total percentage, right? And we are placing dollar signs as well. Drag this to the right so that the entire row is being completed automatically. We can double check. And this percentage is different. This percentage is the percentage of reduction compared with the sales. So we place the reduction in dollars and compare this to the sales. Sales would be in the sales rows. And it is always a percentage number. Let me change it to percentage and increase the decimal places and drag it to the right. That completes our reduction section. Now we are going to use the stock method and basic stock method to compute the BONs and the EONs. In order to get the basic stock, we shall go up here and calculate the basic stock first. So basic stock is computed by 2 numbers. We will have to know the stock turnover first. And this can be gained by looking at the first chart. We do have the inventory turnover of 2.5. So we're just borrowing this number from page 1 and get 2.5. Then what is the average retail stock? So there were several numbers we haven't actually filled in. Let's go with the percentage increase first. This asks whether we see an increase or decrease from last year to this year. So the formula would be, I put this year's number minus last year's actual number divided by last year's number. And this is a percentage. Essentially, it's 2.13% increase in sales over the last year. And what about the average retail stock? The average retail stock is given by 2 numbers. It's the total sales planned divided by the turn. So we have the average retail sale of 9,600,000 $11. Then how about the monthly? Well, the monthly average is just the average. You can do sum divided by 6, or a better way would be we use average. Okay? Average of 6 numbers, and since we're computing this year's number, it's the average of this year, 6 months. If you're interested, you can do last year's number as well. So it's also average over 6 numbers. Now let's answer the basic stock question. What is the basic stock? The basic stock, we use 2 components. One is the retail stock. Let me highlight this one. And the other one is average monthly sales. The formula is we take the average stock less the average sales to get the basic stock. And how about we are distributing this into each of the month, right? We don't know about last year's, so we'll just work on this year's directly. This year's BOM equals the basic stock equals, let me find the basic stock amount, plus the sales that are planned for this current month. So the sales is here. And since we're going to secure this number using absolute cell references, we put $sign. Okay. And we drag this to the right. How about the EOM? The EOM of the current month equals the BOM of the following month. It's always equal. As for the very last month, it depends. It's a bit complicated, but the good thing is we do have a reference number. We do have the February's BOM. February's BOM equals January's EOM. So we don't really have to calculate. We can just borrow this number from page 1. And that completes the stock. Since last year's number is not required, we only work on this year's stock levels. Then it goes to planned purchases. Planned purchases has 2 components. It's either at retail or at cost. We usually deal with the retail value first. 4 components for the planned purchases. These 4 components are, let me highlight, sales, reductions in dollars, sales in dollars, and just be careful, there has to be the plan. Also the BOM, and also the ELM. So these 4 numbers we're going to use to calculate the planned purchases at retail. We're taking the sales plus the reductions plus the ELM and minus the BOM for the planned purchases, and it is also a drag for each of the month. For the total, since it's simply sum of every month's purchases adding up together, I am just going to do a sum. At the cost of value, that needs a conversion. So it depends on the cumulative markup that are planned for the entire season. It has to be based on this current number, the initial markup in percentage. Where do we get this number from? So this number actually can be computed based on other numbers. We can borrow the gross margin from page 1. That is the gross margin, 56.6%. We have the profit from page 1 as well, 5%. We don't have the GROI, so we will have to calculate the GROI. And the GROI is based on this percentage numbers as well. So what do we have? We have these 2 cells in order to calculate the initial markup. We have reductions and we have gross margin. So reductions is here. And gross margin is here, 24% and 56%. The formula is a bit complicated, but it's also on the handouts as well. We're taking gross margin plus the reduction in percentage, okay, divided by, if you're using the dollar numbers, it's just the sales. But since we are using percentage numbers for sales, the percentage is always 100%. So you either type 100% or just 1 and plus the reduction in percent. Okay. That will be your initial markup in percentage. And we are using this number to calculate the planned purchases at cost. We're converting the retail from retail to cost. So it equals the retail amount times a simple RCM relationship. 1 minus, be careful, it has a minus sign, minus initial markup, and I am going to secure the position using $2 signs. And dragging this to the right side, do a total. That completes my planned purchases. How about on order? So on order, we can have both retail and cost value. The cost is also converted from this 65%. So let's do the conversion first. It's based on retail times 100% or just 1 minus 65%. And in order to secure the position, adding $2 signs and drag it to the right. For on orders, it's a real-time situation. Say, what is the on order amount at say beginning of each month? And we don't really calculate the total because it's a dynamic number. And for open to buy, since open to buy also has two things, it's either at retail value or at the cost value. We are taking the planned purchases. So what's planned to be purchased minus what has been ordered. That will be the remaining open to buy. We are also taking the planned purchases at cost minus on order at cost to calculate open to buy at cost as well. Again, open to buy does not have a total. It's a dynamic thing. Okay. So it completes almost everything, but we haven't computed the GROI. The GROI is a ratio number. Ratio means that it is not a dollar or it is not a percentage number. What do we rely on? We rely on 4 numbers. Okay? We rely on initial markup. Let me highlight gross margin, profit. There's 3 numbers. And then we rely on the stock turnover. Let me use a different color to mark this calculation. Okay, so that's how GROI is calculated. I am using GROI would be using gross margin as the base, right? Times the turnover divided by 100% or just 1 less this initial markup. So the GROI is 4.04 as a result. In order to complete the details, you also need to put on your buyer's name, your store number, and sometimes these numbers you will need to copy all those existing numbers to the second page as well. For this particular case, it's done. Okay? You don't have to fill in last year's number. You don't have to fill in this dollars. And that's it. Please save this. And let me also show you the overall formula. Okay. Please save it and upload to Canvas.